do a quick, just close our eyes and take a deep breath. Connect.
I should get that on camera.
Yeah, I'm ready. Take a deep breath.
Ready?
Let's do it.
Just close your eyes. Come fully present to this moment. Be in your body. Take a deep breath through your nose. Hold at the top. Slowly exhale through your nose. Let's allow each other to be on the same vibration, same mentality. Let's flow. Let's speak from our heart. Let's speak from our higher self. And just be so grateful in this moment and celebrating your existence and making this magical content. So grateful to be here.
All I needed in that moment to make sure that I was fully present as I do have the.
Smitty did it, nigga.
You can't tell, like, it's can't see a book. Y'all know what it is. It's the Comer version of Moody Was Here, man. The boy, the kid, the boy, the one and only. And I am here back for another episode of Moody Was Here. And that was all I needed in that moment to make sure that I was fully present as I do have the one and only, man, the beautiful, the herbalist, the soon-to-be published author, Selena Clark. I got that last name. How you living today?
I'm actually having such an amazing day.
Nice.
Yes, I feel like I cleared a lot of energy recently and like came back to my true self.
Nice.
And I'm like living in that. And when you do that, everything outside of you confirms it, you know? So
Right.
I just had like a lot of good things happening one after another.
That's dope.
Yeah.
When you say cleansing energy, like what is that for me? For me speaking in like, I don't know nothing.
I would say it's like a mental thing because everything is first mental. So I feel like a lot of people don't realize the power of your thoughts, especially what you think about repetitively.
No, I know it.
And whatever you think about repetitively is what you will actually begin to feel and experience and see in the world.
All right.
So the cleansing work that I did was like mental work of just like realizing the like laziness that I took on with my mind.
That's
And how I started to like allow myself to think like negative thoughts, fearful thoughts, having doubt about my life, myself, my connection to God, like all like I was repetitively thinking those things. So then my life began to kind of like lose its magic, and I stopped like feeling good and like seeing good in the world, you know?
Right.
So I started to be disciplined again and like really go in with the affirmation work, checking my mind, more yoga, more meditation. Like disciplined, consistent, like practice of just doing the mental work.
No, word. And that's one thing about me knowing you. Like that's one of the things that I personally had to learn just in regards to like, especially trying to get like, putting the work in. Like it definitely takes a level of discipline, a depth of like forming habits to kind of lead to that route. I know for me, I'm not always the best when it comes to let me journal, let me put these affirmations in, or let me, like I said, stay consistent with yoga. So for me, it does pose as a challenge, even still that I want that in my life. Does it ever still become a challenge for you? Because I know you've been on this spiritual, floating, aura for a while, as long as I've known you. So like, does it still pose as a challenge whenever you like find yourself having to like, regroup and reload again?
I like that question.
Come on,
and
now.
I have a good answer for
Okay, you better give me the best one.
The only time when I stopped being disciplined and stopped doing my practices that I knew were so good for me and that connected me to my higher self was when I surrounded myself with negative people. When I was in a relationship with someone that wasn't happy, and like living with them, it just affected me so much, and I didn't even really realize it. Where like weeks would go by, and I was like, damn, like I haven't done yoga. I haven't actually like checked in with myself, like slipping into like a part of myself that's not me.
How do people like? Do you feel like I guess for me, like you say, you living with somebody, you around somebody that's like on a different wavelength than what you are, especially if they bringing like bringing negative energy to the area. Do you? Is there any like red flags? I guess that's the cool word to say. Do you feel like there were red flags that you ran through that were there?
Oh, that I avoided.
Right. Then you realize like, oh man, I haven't done yoga in like so long. You know, what was that? Were there flags before it?
Sure.
Right.
Well, red flags within myself or in the person?
Either or.
Well, I would say in myself was like I was just so reactive. Like I would act from like a lower place where I was like matching his vibe.
Oh, I got you.
Disrespectful shit, and then like I'll be like, okay, bet, and I'll do it like 10 times crazier, and I'm like, whoa, that's not me. Like I don't do that. I
got you.
Put that energy out. I don't believe in that type of stuff. But I was doing it.
No, I feel that.
Disconnecting from myself because I wasn't doing the things that like bring me close to myself.
Right. No, that makes sense, and that's what a lot of times that we get in those situations that we don't. I don't know. I guess whenever we like starting like especially new relationships, we want to kind of adjust and adapt, and we feel like we have to somewhat give away a certain level of our individuality and in order to become whole with somebody else. And I feel like that's one of the things that I've been kind of just contemplating in my mind, especially if I progress in my own personal relationship and my own relationship. I said with my partner, just being able to just make sure that I'm not cheating myself of my own individuality, because that's when you start lacking, like off the top. Then
yeah, when I was young, like a teenager, my favorite quote was, I am mine before I'm anyone else's.
Come on.
But then the older I got and I started to like have relationships and like attach to people and like experience love,
right,
I like would forget that, and I would forget myself and like get lost in other people. And then you learn the hardest lessons from that shit. Like hardest lessons. That shit knocks you to the ground crazy. And
that's a lot of things whenever it comes to people, whether it's work or whatever the case may be. They always find opportunities to. You know what? I should have walked through that, but it's all good. Anyway, we could actually take this opportunity. Baby, can you set your camera up real quick, and then I can just go back and finish up and edit it. It'll be all cool. It'll be all smooth. Intermission.
A few moments later.
Once again, I don't know why I was about to grab your water. I'm about to take a sip. Yeah, I'm thirsty too. I got a little sweat on me. Jumping back to the conversation, we was talking about losing ourselves as an individual whenever getting in those relationships that matter. And I was asking you were there any red flags that you foreseen on your own self before like reaching to a point? If that's not where we left off, it's okay, because that's what we're gonna pick back up at. You hear me?
So what I had answered was the red flags was myself, like my reactions, and the fact that I was acting from like a lower place, and I was like matching his vibe. His lower vibe, I was matching it.
I feel that.
And that's not me. I don't want to act from a place of like jealousy, anger, disrespect. Like I don't believe in those things. That's not love.
I feel that.
And I was acting from that place, and that made me realize like, dang, like I'm far away from myself.
But that also goes into like you knowing yourself prior to that. And a lot of people don't know themselves even prior to that, because like I said, a lot of times they jump from relationship to relationship. They never really gather that point to where they are individually and know themselves truly.
I spent a lot of time by myself.
Though I know it. That's why I always tell everybody whenever they inquire about you, because like I said, I always obviously I brag about you all the time. I'm like, man, Selena, she give me my sea moss. She always give me the word of the day. You know what I mean? I'm like, I was like, she always in a certain level of I always feel like happiness or joy whenever I think of you or whenever I see you. And do you feel like that's something that you always had? Or you just develop it over time during your different practices and just being consistent?
I like these questions. These are good questions because it's very relevant for me. Like, when I came back from traveling this year was like my first experience of like, I wouldn't say depression because I don't cling to labels like that, but like of like consistent like unhappiness, discomfort, like mental unhappiness.
All right.
And I never had that like consistently. and it was so uncomfortable. It was so scary, but it was like such a test for me to actually like put to work all the things that I know. Because it's one thing to practice these things when you're in a good place. It's easy. It feels good. You connect quickly.
Right.
When you're in a bad place, like, it's a slower, more subtle path.
Right.
It's a slower, more subtle way out, you know?
Right.
But for most of my life, I would say, like, I've been pretty happy and, like,
That's
very
good.
detached from, like, letting things affect me.
That's good. Do you know how much of a, like, that's not common? Do you feel like in your people that you surround yourself with, as you've already stated, do you feel like that's coming in your circle? Or do you get a lot of people like
yes
me just that
no.
got attached to the joy to
yes
get some?
No.
I
yes
got you.
No.
I got you.
No. It really depends. Like, I think the older that I get and the more authentic I become, the easier it is for me to meet people on my same vibe.
I got you.
But yeah, I would say it's like give and take. Like, everyone's so different, you know?
I feel a lot.
Yeah. And everyone's, like, circumstances are different. Like, childhood, high school years, like, everything is so different.
Yeah. Everybody's story can be different. Like I said, a different experience that everybody that went through makes them to that person they are, and to a certain degree. I don't like to always think that just because you're in a certain place or have certain experience that it made you. You know, if it's, I guess when you look at it from a negative connotation, kind of a negative perspective. But I also know, like I said, whenever you have different people you come across in different stories, you know, you got to figure out who you are in that person's story as well. And, you know, figuring out, right, because no matter, as soon as you come in encountering with them, you become a character in their story. So just being able with that mindset, you know, for me, you know, you're a character in my story, and one of the things that attracted me to you was your love and your passion when it came to like plant-based medicine and healing, and just making sure that everything that you speak of and derive from is of earth, and make sure that it's a reflection of who you are as a woman. You know, even like the Running with the Wolves. I haven't read the book yet, but I got it because of you, you know. So your story, your background, you know, just who you are. How did you even get to the point to where you wanted to be in this herbalist lifestyle, to where you're healing people and using that as an opportunity to, you know, give people with, you know, a different perspective of life or healing of life?
Well, when I was, I think, 13 or 14, my mom introduced me to veganism.
Nice.
And initially, like, I was very against it. I was like, this is so extreme. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, what am I supposed to eat?
Right.
Like, back then, it wasn't, like, a common thing.
It wasn't cool. It wasn't
no
trendy.
One knew what it was.
No, right.
When I first went vegan, people thought I was
salad.
crazy.
Eating salad all day.
If you go to a restaurant, all you can get was salad. That was it. Now there's vegan. It's trendy now.
Where
people did not know what it was. They're like, what is that, a religion? Like, what is that? So I went vegan when I was like 13 or 14, the end of 8th grade. And I first did it as a gift to my mom for Mother's Day, just to be like, I'm going to cook a vegan dinner and I'll go vegan for 1 week as a gift to you.
Dope.
And then once I bought the food, I cooked it and I ate it, that process and experience made me realize, like, this is like normal food and I feel amazing. Like, I feel good.
Right.
So from that point forward, I just connected to it. And then as time went on, I started to do research. I started to find out about these large corporations, animal cruelty, the hormones in the food. Like, I found out where the food came from.
Right.
Most people don't actually think about where is this food coming from.
Right.
There's food in the grocery store that we have an abundance of, all different options, all different shapes, sizes, aisles full of different stuff. No one actually thinks, where does this come from?
100%. I know I can't think of the last time whenever, well, more now, but definitely not when I was 13, 14, not when I'm mid-20s or anything of that sort. Like I said, I'm from Mississippi. We're from the South, where we eat soul food. We eating everything that's whatever that gets put in front of us for the most part. So I don't even know if I even understood like veganism until I was in my like mid-20s. Like early 20s, when I really started getting into like the fitness. Like I said, at that point I had already started like the gym and had already went through like my courses and everything like that. But this was all more about like, you know, macros when it came to protein and carbs and all that. So I haven't even seen anything of that. When you are moving forward now with what you're doing, now that you're established, you know, how do you go about teaching and others about it? You know, your mom, it was a gift that you gave your mom, and it was something she just put in front of you as well. But you know, how do you go about teaching others and that, you know, want to dabble?
Well, I feel the best way to teach is through being an example. That's really like the OG way to teach somebody is be a shining example.
Gotcha.
And I feel like when I first was vegan, I was never like a pushy vegan. Like that gave veganism such a bad rep, the crazy vegans that were like screaming and shouting at people for like eating meat in front of them, or like the crazy vegan. Like it's a known thing, you know.
Oh, that's anything, anybody, anywhere, man. I already know it.
And I was never that. Like I was always very gentle about it. I would speak to people from a place of like just sharing the benefits of how it's helped me.
Right.
I would cook for people and let them like try it, because it's different when you actually like experience something for yourself. And I would just share a lot of my life like on social media, of like posting the food that I eat and like informational posts, and just like sharing things that help me, you know.
Right.
And from that, like a lot, like maybe a handful of people like went vegan, and I helped them out, and then I started to write like that was like my first inspiration of writing, was doing like a vegan guide when I was in college.
Oh,
and
nice.
Then, like I never actually published it, because in that time I was still like a junk food vegan, so I was still eating like a lot of processed food. I didn't actually understand like holistic.
Yeah, I got you.
But I was like, I want to write a book, like I want to teach people how to do this. But in the book, like there's so much information I would never tell people to do. So of course, like just through like the universe and God, I never put that out. It was just a part of my process.
I got you.
Continued to write more books about veganism, but I never published them because I had to learn more about healing, about holistic, which is like balance, mind, body, spirit, like a balanced, holistic approach. I had to learn more. I had to go through more things in order to like get that information, to really relay it to people. And it took me a while. It took me like 5 years.
But that's part of the process, and you didn't cheat yourself out of the process. And like I said, ultimately it's going to be something that's going to be worth even greater value, not even on a necessary monetary aspect, but just what it's going to do for yourself. You know, you accomplished something, got your book that you're getting ready to publish, and then you're going to have something in there that wasn't going to be there 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So the art of intuition, come on now.
Intuition for nutrition.
Intuition for nutrition. Y'all better get it when y'all see it. You know y'all heard it here first. You've been working on this book for a while. I've been with you just during this journey.
It's been destroyed and recreated many times. But you know the funny thing about this book is like, it first started as like a vegan guide, and then it was a raw vegan recipe book.
Nice.
And then I was like, wait, I love to share like information, like spiritual information. Like that's one of my favorite things.
Love it.
So then like my final concept was like a half informational guide about like utilizing like the power of your mind.
Nice.
The power of choice, like conscious choice, and understanding like how much that affects your life. Using that with food, with lifestyle. And then the like second half of the book is a recipe guide.
That's perfect. That's a perfect format, perfect opportunity, like you said, in order to get the substance with the rest of the food. Like I said, putting a story behind it, and in order for people to attach to it the same way that you did, like I said, with your mom, and just being able to, once you did your research. I know for me, there's always, I feel, opportunities, especially when it comes to literature, for us to do some things that we may not be able to necessarily verbalize, or even just in our different interactions amongst each other. So with you sitting down, writing a book, being in that place of present, you know, I know that there's recipes, and I know there's, you know, backstory on it, but what is there anything else that you want that book to give, to be for people?
I'm pretty sure like in the back of the book I wrote something of it being like a catalyst for people's like freedom of mind. Like I believe in the power of planting seeds, and like it's crazy how one sentence can stick with you forever, like subconsciously. And like as you go through life and you learn and you experience things, that one sentence turns into like a paragraph, and then it turns into a book, and then like you're a whole new person. You know? So in the book, like I just talk so much about like the power of your mind, the power of your choices, the power of conscious reprogramming, and like how at every moment like you can consciously create your reality. And like I also talk a lot about healing, like generational trauma with food, with your body, like just so many different disorders and dis-ease, which is just like something out of alignment within yourself. And reminding people that those things first start like energetically, mentally, and spiritually, and that you can heal yourself.
For sure.
Like 100%.
I'm a big believer that, trust me, I'm a big believer in, like I said, that you can heal thyself, and just being able to put yourself in those positions. I know it starts with the mind, and like starts with the spirituality, and just being able to like come into oneness with all of it. You know, mind, body, soul. One of my favorite movies. Anytime I get a chance to mention is the Last Dragon, and that was one of his things. He was like going on his journey in order to become the master. You know, he had done so much, all these skills, all these tests that his sensei had put him through, and he was telling him that in order to be the master, your mind, body, and soul must become one. And he's like, there's only one place you haven't looked to find him. And he keep going on this journey, asking everybody else, and then finally it clicks. He's like, man, it's in there, and they hit him like he's getting whooped, and then he finally it hits him in the middle of him getting just beat up. He's like, I'm the one. I'm like, it's in me. So everything you need is definitely already inside you, and you utilize that in order to heal yourself. And like I said, just being able to do that and be a catalyst, as you said. I like that word, catalyst. Catalyst. I feel like it's something that I could use into my regular.
Yeah, or like a trigger, you know? Like, I feel like recently trigger has been like a very negative word.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you trigger me.
Yeah.
But a trigger can be very positive, like a positive trigger. Like, for instance, like me going vegan at that age triggered my mind's opening, because I started to question reality. I started to question the government. I started to question like what I'm consuming. And I was like, if no one else is questioning the food that they eat, what else does society not question?
Exactly.
So I started questioning hella shit.
No, word.
And I never stopped.
Word.
Till this day, I ask questions all the time about everything.
Who is Jesus? Am I
right? Even if I feel like I already know the answer, I still ask people because I want to hear their answer. And then from their answer opens a whole new conversation where like I can learn something new, or I can like expand my mind a little bit more.
I'm with it. I'll say it. I feel like it's at some point we tend to get to the point that we feel like we got all the answers. And the thing about that is we had those answers for a certain part of our life. Now those answers might not be the same anymore. It might be the same situation, but now who we are 5 years later is different than who we were those answers related to back then. So it's always good to continue to always search and ask why and ask who, and you know, don't get comfortable just taking other people's word all the time, you know. And that's the thing. It's like we respect status and stature. Media. Come on, man. Like all the time. That's social media
is not your teacher, okay?
The thing I tell about people on social media, speaking of like people screaming at you, I don't think people realize how much unsolicited advice they're getting every day. 24/7.
Subconscious.
Don't even realize it. But that's it. But if we were walking down the street and there was 100 people lined up, and each person we walk past, you better go start an LSC. Get up at 2 a.m. Don't do that. The next person like, make sure you doing this, do this. Oh, if your man not doing this, and you gotta leave him. Boom.
Everything is.
Come on.
Don't eat broccoli. It's gonna kill you. Eat broccoli. It's gonna heal you. You hear that in like one sitting on social media.
That's it.
Contradicting stuff. And then even on Google, even if you look up something like scientific evidence that this is good, you'll find it. Scientific evidence that this is bad, you'll find it.
Right.
Everything contradicts
right.
itself.
It's 100%.
So if you don't go through self-experience, you'll never really know the truth.
That's it. And that's another thing to bring it back full circle. We talk about Jesus, but that's a lot of times people get upset about like the Bible. They say, oh, it contradicts yourself. But I say you gotta read it. You gotta go through it, and then you make your decision. You'll know what is true. But
you have to decode it for yourself.
And that's the only way to do it. And that's one of the loneliest journeys is like going towards a job. It is the loneliest journey, like for sure. And you want somebody else to take you through that, and want somebody to tell you the answer. Is like you can't. The only way to get to it is like you got to go through it. A lot of people know the path, but a lot of people ain't walked it, and that's the difference between it. And that's a lot of people that be on Instagram. They know it, you know what I'm saying? But they ain't not walkers. They know it. They talkers. They know it, so they gonna do that. So yeah, for sure, that's one of the biggest things that. I'm glad that you're using your voice and you are consistent with your voice. And like I said, that's one of the reasons that regardless, even if I didn't know you from anything, I would still be one of those people that will, follow you in the sense of really follow you to, or listen to you and everything you say. I love when that's your good energy of the day. So you better use it, alright? You know what I mean? I love it. I was like, man, I got it for the day. Let me roll that. And I'm out the door. So I'm gonna put you on the spot right now because it's one of my favorite things, and I haven't heard one in a while. Okay. I need one right now. Give me your best good energy of the day. Give me something. Okay. Give me right.
Put the microphone down?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Gotta get that energy. That is yo. Good energy for the
Come on now.
So use it.
Alright. So I'm talking about, yo. That's what I'm talking about, man.
You're charged up for the year.
No, I'm good to go now. Got it on my birthday too. That's probably good for 2 years. You know what I mean? I'm gonna mess around and get a couple moves in for this. I'm good to go. That's it. I did it. I did it. I did it. I did it, man. I'm glad that we sat down, talked a little bit. We're gonna definitely have to do this again, make it even longer, a little bit more put in perspective. But I'm glad you sat down and sat with me. I think I just said myself twice, but it's fine. I do stuff like that all the time. It's part of my journey. You know what I mean? It's part of my journey.
Embrace it.
Most definitely. But what's next in your journey, though? You know, this is where I'm at. I'm podcasting. I'm setting up shoots. I'm trying to do my thing. Book coming out.
Yeah.
Then what we doing?
So being transparent and reminding people, like the authenticity of life, and that not a lot of people have their shit figured out, and that's totally normal and okay. And you go through phases where like you know what you're doing, and you go through phases where you don't know what you're doing.
Facts.
And I'm coming out of a phase of like really not knowing what I was doing, of like just like really like confused, you know, and like just in a place of like sitting down and just like waiting for like a sign, waiting for direction, because I don't want to chase after things that are not like sustainable for my evolution, you know.
Right.
So now I'm pretty clear on like what I'm focusing on, and I'm rebranding my social media.
Nice. Because
I want to start to post more consistently on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok.
Tell everybody your handles.
You can find me on Instagram. It's Beautiful Enigma. That's spelled ENIGMA.
Dyslexic much.
Beautiful Enigma 3. You can find me on Instagram under that handle, YouTube, and TikTok. It's all the same thing.
Nice. I'm with it, man.
Yeah. So I'm doing social media. I'm going to publish my book, and then I offer herbal medicine blends, tea blends, capsules for cleansing the body, balancing hormones, for lucid dreaming, like a bunch of different stuff. My website's herbalascension.com. And I'm just always creating stuff, you know? Like I want to continue just to believe in myself and be the creator of my reality, use my energy, use my gifts, use my experiences to create abundance and create my life, and not to doubt that, and just go like full force, you know?
I'm with it, man. That's what it is, and that's how we're gonna be moving forward from today. Moving forward for us, man. We got the one and only Selena Clark, man. She came down here and blessed us on Moody Was Here, man. Y'all make sure y'all go out there and follow her. She might not know how to spell her Instagram handle, but you'll figure it out, man. Like I said, man, y'all make sure y'all get that book whenever it comes out. Information will be coming soon. We'll make sure we tag it, keep you in the loop with it. But in the meantime, in the between time, y'all know what it is. I'm down here in Miami 305, man, letting everybody know. Selena Clark.
Yes.
Yeah. Moody Was Here, man. We'll catch y'all. We got the one and only Selena Clark, man. She came down here and blessed us on Moody Was Here, man. Y'all make sure y'all go out there and follow her.
Just because you're aware of something, just because you know something, just because you're very well versed in spiritual concepts and text, doesn't actually mean that you know how to be it, that you know how to feel it in your body. You might only be able to intellectualize it. The only way that we're really going to heal and change our lives is through taking accountability for our lives. And we can do that through integration, integrating what we're being shown. And we integrate through embodiment, through actually becoming it. Just because you know something, just because you're very well versed in spiritual concepts and texts, doesn't actually mean that you know how to be it, that you know how to feel it in your body. You might only be able to intellectualize it. The only way that we're really going to heal and change our lives is through taking accountability for our lives. And we can do that through integration, integrating what we're being shown. And we integrate through embodiment, through actually